Hi, sweet friends. It is that time for us to spend a little bit of time in my reading journal to capture all of the wonderful books I read in the month of April. Now, this was a marathon month for me. I read 13 books. That is completely insane. That is not normal for me. But I feel like what I can attribute that to is the fact that we have had so much going on in our life. And when I'm stressed out about other things going on, I kind of just like fall into books as a way to escape into a different world, just to like counterbalance all of the crazy going on. So I think that's why I read so many books and was just trying to go somewhere else and go to a different world just to kind of balance out some of the noise in my own life. So we have a lot of work to do today, and I'm so excited to be creating these spreads with you. Now, I will be linking everything in the description below. I know a lot of you are often looking for the stickers or the markers or the pens or whatever it might be. So look in the description box to find all those details. And one of the things I am going to be linking are these Artex acrylic markers. Artex is kindly partnering with me on this portion of today's video. They have sent along this amazing box of 60 acrylic markers, and these markers are so pigmented and come in a wide, beautiful range of colors. There's so many different shades for each color. I'm somebody that likes to layer different colors on top of one another, use some shadowing, and use like bordering techniques. So I like having different shades in each color, and these give you such a wide variety. These markers came in a really great packaging. They come in these wonderful little trays where you can mix and match. They're also very odorless and completely safe to use with your children or pets or whoever. I fully plan to do some projects with my son using these markers, because the wonderful thing about acrylic markers is that you can use them on not just paper, you can use them on rock painting, you can decorate t-shirts with them, you can use them on all sorts of textures. If you want to decorate a canvas bag, which is what I think I'll be doing with my son later this week, they are so versatile and have so many great uses. I also love how rich and diverse and pigmented they are. They come out so milky and buttery, and you don't even need to do much to get them started. You shake it a few times and they're ready to go. So I have loved using these markers, and you'll notice when I create some of my reading spreads, I'm going to be using these markers to create titles and to create some other words and outlines, and they are just so incredible to use because of that buttery smooth feel. And I've had a great time using these markers. If you'd like to get some for yourself, I do have some links below. Give these a try if you are big into journaling and you just want to try a different medium. So look out for how I use these in these reading spreads that I'm about to do. We have so much work to do today, so let's just get right into it. The first two book spreads I'm making are for two separate contemporary romance reads. They both had a similar vibe as far as like summertime setting and outdoorsy and like summer elements. And so I decided to just create one look and feel for these two books. But the first book is The Night We Met by Abby Jimenez. I did not enjoy this book, and I'm so sad to be saying that because Abby Jimenez is one of my favorite authors. I really enjoy her books, but the last two releases have just not been my favorite, and especially this latest one. I was so uncomfortable the entire time I was reading the book because of the emotional cheating aspect of it. It just did not sound like a relationship I enjoyed reading about. Now, the sad thing is, the two characters in the book do have amazing chemistry. They have everything in common. They really enjoy their time together. They just are the perfect fit. But because she was with his best friend, it just felt really icky the whole time to me. And I know these things happen in real life, and, everything is so layered and gray and nuanced, but I just don't personally want to read about it in my books. But it was an Abby Jimenez, so I decided to finish it, just waiting for something, different to happen or to see where the story was going to go. But the entire book, I did not enjoy. And you're probably wondering why I even made a book spread, because I don't typically make book spreads for books I don't enjoy. But I think future me would want to know why I didn't enjoy this book, because she is one of my tried and true authors. So I decided to write my thoughts down on the aspects I did not enjoy and at least have this reference. So I gave this book 2 stars. I couldn't get down with this one. The next book spread is for One Golden Summer by Carly Fortune. This was such a big hit last year, and everyone raved about it. I finally got around to reading it. I always love Carly Fortune's settings. She is like the atmosphere queen. She knows exactly how to paint the most idyllic picture of the lakeside and summer sounds and smells, and just so atmospheric. So I really enjoy that aspect. But I have to say, with Carly Fortune, she definitely has a very formulaic approach to her books. They all have a very similar layout, a similar kind of setting and character arcs, and the now and then timelines. She has this formula that works for her, and they're comfort reads, and they feel good while you're reading them. The characters are likable, but they're just not anything like transformative or like awe-inspiring to me, at least. They're not books that are going to stay with me for a lifetime. They're kind of just a good read when I'm reading them and I'm in the world. But it's not like it's anything earth-shattering and, will stay with you long after you've read them. So I did enjoy this book. I gave it 3.5 stars, 3.75 actually. I would even go so far as saying that. I would have been closer to a 4.5 if the third act breakup wasn't so annoying. I really do not like when people don't understand what someone is communicating to you. If someone says to you they are not open to an XYZ relationship, and they've been very clear about that from the very beginning, you cannot sign up for that and then later be upset that they are following true to what they said. Like the person laid it out for you from the very beginning that this is something they do not do. So how can you be upset when they actually follow through on those words? So I don't know. I did not enjoy that third act breakup. It didn't feel right. But the rest of the book was very atmospheric and enjoyable, like many of her books tend to be. So I gave it 3.75 and would recommend if you're looking for an easy breezy kind of summer read with a really wonderful setting. The next 2 book spreads I also did together because they kind of went with the same theme, and they're also part of the same series. These two books are also contemporary romances. They are Give Me Butterflies and No Place Like You. Both of these books are by Jillian Meadows. She's a new to me author, and I'm not going to lie, I picked up these books purely because of their covers. The covers are so stunning, and they just seem like the perfect reads for springtime, and I knew I wanted to read them this year, and I'm really glad I did because I truly enjoyed reading both of these books. I didn't want to put them down. I wanted to read them in one or two sittings, and the world was just really captivating. It's a cute story, each of them. The first one is about a workplace kind of romance. They work together in this museum, and she's going up for a promotion that he's on the board for to decide whether she gets that promotion or not. And they initially have a little bit of an enemies thing, which I think read kind of clunky. That would be my only critique of the first book, Give Me Butterflies, is that it was a forced trope. I really don't like when romance authors kind of just make books tropey and add in some of these themes, even though they don't really make sense to the story, because they were enemies for like 20 pages, I think, and then the book took off from there, and it was so much more enjoyable after that point. So we could have done without that, but the book is her navigating that promotion and trying to also deal with some other personal things she's got going on. He also has a lot going on in his personal life. He's just now come into custody of two of his nieces, so he's trying to deal with that. And there's a lot of interactions between the two of them and the two girls, which I thought were just so sweet, and all the little acts of service and mental health representation and just her dynamic with her family. I just loved every aspect of the book. It read very easy. The chapters are addicting. You kind of just want to fly through them. So I do appreciate Jillian Meadows' writing. I think she, does really have a lot of talent and is going to just get better as an author. But there are a few clunky bits to her stories, and I think those will get flushed out as she kind of matures in her writing. The second book was really good. That one had a little bit more emotional depth, I think, personally, and a little bit more mental health rep. But it was set in their hometown. She's kind of trying to find her way through life and figure out what her calling is. He is someone who ran away from this little town and is now trying to settle down and own this veterinarian shop, and he just wants to prove that he's not going to be a flight risk. So they kind of enter like a fake dating type of situation, and and then like a little bit of a friends to benefit. So you see what I mean by Jillian Meadows is kind of forcing a lot of tropes into each book, and that was my only critique, which is why they weren't 5 stars, is because all those forced tropes felt a little bit clunky, whereas if she had just written the story without those elements, it still would have been a really beautiful relationship to write about with both of the sets of characters. So I just don't think we needed all of that. But I was very excited when I was thinking about making this book spread because both books are so spring inspired, and the first one even has the word butterflies in it. You guys know, I'm obsessed with butterflies, obsessed with butterfly stickers. I just could not wait to make this book spread because I knew it was going to just be so beautiful, and I could put butterflies everywhere and anywhere, and that's exactly what I did on this spread. You'll see in a few minutes that I kind of go a little nutty with my gold foiled stickers that I love so much of my little butterflies. But yeah, I would highly recommend these 2 books. There's a third one coming out. There's a third sister, and I think her book is coming out next spring. I imagine the cover is going to be just as delightful, and I hope the story is as well, because I really had a good time with both of these books. next book spread is for 4 books in the same series. I read the first book in this series last month and absolutely loved it. It was a 5-star read, so I knew I wanted to continue the series, and I'm so glad I did because I could not put them down. I read them back to back. These 4 books are part of the Scoundrels of St. James series by Lorraine Heath. Lorraine Heath, my goodness, you guys, if you have not read her books, you need to immediately pick them up. They are historical romances, but she is just such an incredibly talented storyteller. The way she flushes out her worlds and her stories, you would think you were reading one seamless novel between the way all 5 of these books have read. I have enjoyed every single second of it, and I'm a little bit sad that the world is over and I don't have any more books to read with these characters, but I definitely know I will be rereading this series at some point. And yeah, I just had the most incredible time. These books are about a group of children who were raised on the streets of London, and they all kind of have their own individual love stories and coming of age story and all the different struggles they had in their youth and how they play out into adulthood. They all also have a wonderful character arc and story arc, and the way the story is told, you do need to read it in order just for it all to make sense with each other because it does develop on top of one another. So definitely go in order. But when I tell you, I was so captivated by every single character and every single story in this little universe. I had such a great time. My favorite in the series are probably the first 3 books. Even though I gave all the books 5 stars, the first 3 were my absolute favorites. I just did not want to put them down. I was struggling to keep my eyes open at the end of the night and to put my book away because that's how much I wanted to read them. I just love the insight into society as well. A lot of these books are class difference romances. They also have a lot of grit to them, so they're not just your fluffy ballroom stories. They have some real mental health representation, some really gritty parts of life, a lot of different themes and topics. I would definitely maybe look up trigger warnings if you're sensitive to those types of themes. But the way that Lorraine handles each of these themes is just so careful and so well thought out. I think the other thing I really appreciate about Lorraine Heath and her writing and her books is that every character reads so differently. It's like she really spent time on creating the backstory and personalities of each of these characters. Oftentimes, I think with authors, a lot of their male characters and female characters can read very similar, whereas everyone in these books has their own distinct personality, their own distinct character traits, their own distinct struggles that they have in life and how they approach those struggles and work through those struggles. And even in the romantic aspect of the books, all of their love stories are quite unique in how they come together, how they work through the differences, how they can be together. I really felt like it was just so cohesive, but also so distinctive from one book to the next. And I think that's a really hard thing to do as an author, is to write a complete series with having some of those differences and unique traits and variabilities. And Lorraine Heath just did such a fantastic job with this series. It is the first one I've read of hers. I do own most of all of the rest of her series. I knew immediately as I was into probably the second book that I just needed to go buy all the rest of her series because I will absolutely be continuing on with her world. I can only imagine what she does with different plot lines and different settings and different places and all the things. So I'm definitely excited to read more of her works. You can expect some more later this year. But from what I've read of her so far, it has been so fun. And if you are looking to get into historical romances or even just Lorraine Heath, this is a really good series to start with. It's the reason I started because everybody else in the book world recommended starting with The Scoundrels of St. James. And It was not a bad recommendation, and I would recommend the same for you if this at all sounds interesting and something you want to take part in. So, highly recommend. Every single book was a 5-star read for me, except the little novella, because I think it's hard to develop a novella into a full blown story. You just don't have as much opportunity, so it's not, I guess, 5-star worthy. But if it had been a full novel, I expect it would have been a 5-star as well. So it is very rare to have a series where every single book gives you that same magical feeling, and this series definitely did that. So I highly, highly recommend. I adore this world. I adore these characters, and I will most definitely be rereading this series at some point in the future. For my April dashboard, I am using a sticker kit from Graceful Muse Paperie. This is a kit I got in the last advent calendar. I have used her stickers throughout this journal just to keep a consistent feel. I just love how feminine and beautiful they are. They can also be a little moody in their color tones. So far, I've only used some of the lighter shades. But I thought for the month of April, because it is usually a rainy month, I would use a more moody color palette. And this one was just so stunning. It gave that moodiness of April showers, but also some of the springtime elements with the florals and the butterfly. So I just knew I wanted to use this for my cover page. This time I'm doing something slightly different. Usually I would have all the books listed out in a calendar view with the timelines of when I read each book. And this month I decided I actually wanted a more decorative heavy layout just because this kit is so beautiful and I wanted to use more of the stickers from it. So I thought, okay, let's not put the calendar in. we can just list the books out and then also have a few graphs. I love looking at different data points for the month, so I did include some graphs and those added a little pop of color. I just love the color palette on these stickers as well, having those like moody dark grays and blues that remind me of kind of like a thunderstorm, which we get many of during April. And then I also like the little bit of gold and orange that pops just to add that little contrast. I just thought it came together so well on this palette she chose. So I'm just adding in sticker heavy dashboard. All of my monthly pages are kind of maximalist when it comes to stickers, and I don't really have like a format that I use. It's just creating different little sticker clusters in all of the different corners. Typically, I will have one big focus area, like in this one, it is the bottom right. And then I will supplement it with other corners and other little stickers. And this notebook that I'm working in is a traveler's notebook, so there's not a lot of space available. I think going forward, I definitely will use a larger notebook for my reading journal, and I do want to have a few different things on the dashboard page, but for now, this is what I am managing to get in here. And I am using the Artex acrylic markers. I've been using them for a couple of spreads now, and I have truly enjoyed using them. As you can tell, when I'm gliding them across the page here, they just come out so smooth, and I've really, really enjoyed using them. So I think I'll use them for all of my cover pages going forward. Maybe that and a mixture of the Tombows, because those are still pretty cool. For my graphs, I'm going to include 3 pie charts, and they just are like a fun way to add some color and some, interest to different stats that you might keep. And you can keep a number of different kind of stats. Typically, I like to look at the genres I'm reading, whether I'm reading male or female authors. I like to look at the star ratings that I have for the month just to see how my month was distributed. It's just adding a little bit more fun and flair to your reading, just like this whole journal is. It's another element and another way to enjoy your reading journey. So I've added 3 of the pie charts, and then on the left side, I'm going to add in all of the book names. And I really like how it turned out. It's just a little bit more simplistic this time, no calendar. I think like many of the spreads in my journal, this is going to be a living and breathing type of spread where I'm constantly changing it, adjusting it, adding things, removing things, just trying to get to, an equilibrium of what I want displayed on my monthly review. And yeah, it's been fun kind of toying with some different ideas, but I'm really happy with the way that this one turned out this month. I hope you enjoyed the making of my April book spreads. I am so happy that I decided to change the formatting for the dashboard this month. I feel like that calendar wasn't really doing a lot for me, so I'm glad I decided to change it up, and I love how this page turned out. Now, I do want to continue to think about how this dashboard evolves because I'm still not completely happy with it, but we're definitely headed in the right direction. I'm also so happy with these book spreads that I make. I think I have to say this is my new absolute favorite. I mentioned this already, but you guys know how obsessed I am with butterflies, and this one was so much fun to make. I think it's definitely my new favorite spread. And I think one of the other big things I learned this month is I made book spreads for like 8 of the books, even though I read 13. And it just goes to show you, like, you don't have to feel forced to make book spreads for books that did not bring you joy or that you don't feel like having, you know, creative elements for. I was putting so much pressure on myself to create spreads for every single book. And not only is that not plausible because I'm running out of space in this journal, but also it doesn't bring me joy to create for books that didn't bring me joy when I was reading them. So for instance, like Half City, I was like trying to find stickers and themed craft papers and different things to create a spread for it. And it was like starting to become a little stressful. And I was like, why? Why do I feel stressed out? And it's because I didn't enjoy the book that much. So the creation and coming up with the ideas and, you know, that whole process just didn't feel fun. And I think it's because I didn't enjoy the book that much. So it just goes to show you, I think your book spreads can be what you want them to be. And also, you don't have to create it for anyone that you don't want. You can kind of come up with your own rules for book journaling and, you know, keeping track of your reading. There's no pressure. There are no rules, and you need to do what you need to do. And I felt so much better just making these 3 full spreads for the books that I genuinely really enjoyed this month, except The Night We Met. And the only reason I created one for The Night We Met is because I'm truly so surprised that that's how I felt reading an Abby Jimenez book. So I know future me will want to know like why this book was such a different experience and why I did not like it. And so having my thoughts for it helps me. So there's a very rare case where I will make a book spread for a book that I did not enjoy. And this is one of those reasons. But for the most part, I just kind of avoid the books that, you know, weren't that fun, because creating and putting time and energy into a book that I didn't enjoy just doesn't sound like fun. So anyways, I hope you enjoyed the making of these spreads. I also wanted to give a quick shout out again to Artx for partnering with me on this video. Again, if you would like a set for yourself, these are incredible. Like, I really enjoy working with these. If you'd like a set for yourself to try out, check out the links below. But thank you so much for watching, and I will see you in my next video.